So in my last video, I talked about self-awareness, but there is this particular idea that I thought you should know, which is why I'm making another video connected to self-awareness. So self-awareness helps in helping you to know what you can tolerate as a human being and what you can't tolerate, right? Let me focus on the ladies, for example. Before ladies go into marriage or, the dating phase, the whole relationship thing, especially marriage, because marriage is more concrete, right? There are things that you should be able to tell yourself, okay, I can tolerate these things, I cannot tolerate these things, because it will help you to know the kind of man that you would like to end up with. Some ladies are so not self-aware to a degree that they don't even know the kind of man they want. They just go for anyone who's available, who's asking them. And it really hurts because when they go into marriages that way, they end up getting frustrated, always crying, always confused, always upset, and all those things are quite avoidable to a degree. Nobody is a saint, nobody is God. You can't really know the future from where you are, but there are steps that you can take as a person that will help you to avoid certain kinds of mistakes, right? So like I said, know the things that you can tolerate and the ones that you cannot tolerate. Let me use my sister, for example, and I'm giving this illustration with her permission, of course. Growing up, when I was still a teenager, I had a conversation with her one time like that, and she was like, oh, there are 3 things. By then she was single. Now she's married with kids, by the way. So as a single lady, she was telling me on that day, there are 3 things that I watch out for in a man that, I would likely say yes to when it comes to marriage eventually. I look out for these 3 things, and I'm going to list those things now. But before I do that, I want to tell you that it is important to know a few things. It could be 1 thing, 2, or even 3 or more. Just know some of the things that will help you to, be able to identify someone that you will be able to stay in a marriage with. It's not about saying yes to a marriage. It's about staying in the marriage, making it work, right? Nobody wants to marry somebody who they can't live with. But you need to understand, be aware of yourself to a level that you're able to know what you can take and what you can't take, right? So the list varies from people to people. What she can tolerate may not be what you can tolerate. So you need to come up with your own based on how self-aware you are. So this list is not in any particular order. It's just 3 important things, all right? So the first thing is that she said that she will not settle for someone who already has a child, and the reason she gave was that, raising kids can be really frustrating, and it's true. Honestly, it's really tasking, it's frustrating, it's hard work and stuff. And she said she wants to be able to be very free to discipline her kids and make sure that she, does her best with them. That it's very easy to discipline your child and people won't really say much because it's your child. But she discovered that if you're disciplining a child that is not yours, like you didn't give birth to the child, people tend to criticize you more, and they'd be like, oh, if this was your kid, would you, treat them the way you're, whatever. And she finds that offensive because disciplining the child is coming from a place of love. You want that child to be a better child, and people are not seeing it from that perspective. They're just assuming that you're being wicked to the child or whatever. And she said she doesn't really want that kind of thing. Another reason that I think is part of why she made that comment is because my dad has always told us as his kids, he's always telling us, you will never have step siblings. Like, I'm gonna make sure of that, and we were curious, and he was like, I have step siblings, and a lot happened in the whole process, and it wasn't really a pleasant experience for him, based off of how he told the story and all that. And I don't blame him because it's not his fault. Yeah. So he said, based off of what he went through and all that he wouldn't want any of his kid whatsoever to go through that. And he said, I'm with your mom, and that's it. all the kids we're having is going to come from her, and that's it. And that was what he did. God bless his soul. Him and my mom are late now, and he kept to his promise. We don't have any step sibling. Like, we are all from the same father, the same mother. He made sure of that. And so because of the pain and the anger, the amount of grief that he tells his story with, she could see what the whole thing did to him. And I think that's part of what inspired her to be like, okay, I think I'm going to carry this on. I think it's a good idea. I don't want a man who already has kids, And the second thing on her list was that she doesn't want a man who doesn't have someone that can talk to him. And I think that is very valid, because a lot of women end up with men that nobody can talk to, not even the man's parents. Okay, so you have a husband who his father cannot talk to him, and when you're having issues, nobody, like, the man is up here, no soul can talk to him. It's very, very painful for the lady, because no one is going to help you out. So these are the things you watch out for before you go in the first place. Just do your part, do what you can do. Not saying that all these things will guarantee happiness in marriage or keep a marriage, but it will help to an extent, right? So these are measures that you take to make your life a bit more easy for you in marriage or in your various relationships. So yeah, she said that, and she looked out for it, and she got what she wanted as well. And the last thing that she said was that she wasn't going to settle for a man who doesn't have any kind of relationship whatsoever with his family. Like, she doesn't want someone who's cut off from his family for whatever reason. And the reason she gave was that, when you're marrying, you're not just marrying a person, even though most of the hurdles of marriage is going to be between you and that person. But generally speaking, you're marrying both him and, to an extent, his family, because the family is always going to be there. And she said that her kids are going to come from his place, they're going to bear his family name and all that. So he needs to have some sort of connection to the family, no matter how small. And I saw reasons with her, and it totally makes sense to me. A man should have a connection with his family. If he gets upset and detaches completely from the family, no matter how bad the family is, how do you want your kids to trace their roots and identify with their people and all that? It creates some form of rejection in their minds, and it's understandable. Self-awareness will help you to coin out just a few things that you will look out for. The same way you're looking out for these things in the man is the same way the man is looking out for his own things in you as a lady, as well as your family and where you come from. So you need to also have something to watch out for. Don't just go in, blindly, and then when you start to suffer, you start to blame yourself. Oh, I should have done these things before now. So do what you need to do when you need to do it, and leave the rest for God, because you can't do everything.